One of the great ironies of being human is our continual search to explain why we're so insufferably dreadful to each other, instead of, not being insufferably dreadful to each other. It's a malady of sorts if, rather than solving your problem, you explain it away and keep acting destructively. But here we are in the 21st century, and instead of creating societies that share resources equitably, we continue to blame our behavior on old tropes like original sin and new scapegoats like selfish genes, while also utterly misinterpreting Darwin's theory of evolution, which states that not the strongest, but the most adaptable survive. Whether genes or sin, both concepts are used inaccurately today. Worse, they force us into the same tired discussions about why we are the way we are instead of inspiring us to do something about it. Obviously, humans are flawed, frustrating, and annoying. That we fail to comprehend the importance of global unity after 250,000 years of evolution indicates we're also exceedingly slow learners, which I find somewhat ironic since the notion of original sin is based on the fact that Adam and Eve basically said, "Beat it, Daddy-o, we're going to go learn stuff." I mean, remember, they eat from the tree of knowledge. I'm not sure why they're made out to be villains, because at least they did something. They fought against inaction and ignorance. While religious folks, especially Christians, like to blame sin for all our woes, the subject is exceedingly nuanced, and I think we should consider that sin is subjective, not objective. That sin isn't a God thing, it's a human construct. In a postmodern world, sin is one of many narratives, and there is no single overarching narrative for all humankind, whether it's scientific or religious. We are learning, really, that reality is surprisingly personal. And to my personal surprise, Paul has a similar point of view, as well as some traditional Jewish ideas about sin. Paul uses the term to describe a panoply of human behavior and suggests that God gave the Torah, which he often refers to as the law, to the people to shine a spotlight on our mutual cruelty so we would be aware of it, and then do something about it, one would presume. In Romans chapter 7, verses 7 and 8, Paul writes, "What shall we say then? Is the law sinful? Certainly not. Nevertheless, I would not have known what sin was had it not been for the law. For I would not have known what coveting really was if the law had not said, 'You shall not covet.' But sin, seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment, produced in me every kind of coveting." Later in the letter, Paul continues and describes sin as something that has enslaved him. "We know that the law is spiritual, but I am unspiritual, sold as a slave to sin. I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. As it is no longer I myself who do it, but it is sin living in me. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do. This I keep on doing. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who do it, but it is sin living in me that does it." Paul's is a relatively typical ancient Judaic view of sin, that despite our best efforts, we're going to do something heinous now and then. Still, in Judaism, people enter the world with a clean slate. Nobody's a natural-born sinner. And Paul argues that humans do things we consider sinful because we're not following the law, which was designed to keep us connected to God. It's in losing our God connection that we begin to act nefariously. Right? If we stay tuned into God, we're less likely to hurt others or ourselves. I suspect that few of us have a problem considering sin as the evils we commit against our families and communities. Yet, because Paul describes sin as something that has a hold on him, a force, I think he inadvertently lays the groundwork for later theologians to misunderstand him and then presume that sin is original to the state of humankind. Eventually, thanks mainly to Augustine, this misguided and dangerous idea becomes known as the doctrine of original sin. It's codified into Christianity, even though Jesus never heard or talked about it. Go figure. Original sin is a Christian-only concept that develops over 300 years after the crucifixion. It's Roman cultural appropriation of a Jewish idea, and like most cultural appropriation, it is taken out of context and perverted, sort of like the Ray Conniff Singers covering a hit soul tune from the 60s. That's a sin right there. Perhaps the worst sin of the original sin concept, though, is that it changes the focus of sin from affronts against the community to a problem we're born with that requires personal salvation, and that only through Jesus Christ. The doctrine of original sin blames the entirety of human nastiness on the original fall from grace in the Garden of Eden. You remember that fable. When Adam and Eve dared to question God's authority, God kicked them out of the garden. And consequently, all humans are doomed to live a mortal life, as if mortality itself is somehow sinful. In this myth, of which there are many variants in the ancient world, the original sin is disobedience to a petty and cruel taskmaster who gives their creation the death sentence. That notion of God as a bully has never made sense to me. If original sin is opposing a cruel megalomaniac, sign me up. Fortunately, those old views of a punishing God are quickly dissipating, although really not quickly enough. But these days, very few people believe in the mythological aspects of ancient scripture. Most of us understand the differences between Bronze Age and Information Age cosmologies. We know that there's no watery firmament beyond the solar system or anywhere in outer space. And people of faith are beginning to realize sin is not akin to electricity or magnetism. It is not a universal force opposed to God's goodness. There cannot be an opposing force as powerful as God. God is not God if we believe there's another force equally or more powerful, whether it's Satan or sin. Sin is a human issue, not a cosmic issue, and it certainly isn't punishment for disobedience in Eden. If we're going to continue talking about sin, let's understand it as a descriptor of the evil we do to one another, not a universal evil force into which we are born by default. Most postmodern spiritual sojourners have come to reject these overarching narratives about reality. So, for someone to say something is sinful is inaccurate from the universe's or from God's point of view. We need to rethink of sin not as a punishment for being human, which includes questioning authority apparently, but as our unwillingness to accept one another as equal and beloved individuals of a single essential creative source, God. Not recognizing our common spiritual source might be the real original sin. Not doing something about it surely is. Amen.